Hello! Today we are going to be making a scene switcher with 2 extra bits. We're going to be using the singleton slash do not destroy unload game object functionality, and we are going to capture another script using our singleton to execute a function, and we are going to get a reference to that script. As always, the code will be available in the GitHub repo. But before we do that, let's talk about why we would want to do this. First, a singleton is a design pattern that only allows one instance of itself. I'm a big fan of using singletons for game managers, match managers, all types of managers. You really don't want 2 match managers running around, and I'm quite used to building games like that. Although other people dislike them. So grain of salt. Second, the do not destroy on load functionality tells Unity that when we would move scenes, don't destroy this. This makes the game object persist between scenes, which can be super useful, especially if you wanted like the music to like not cut out when you're changing scenes. Kind of important. Again, with all my series, I want to try to impart upon you like my coding expertise, if we can call it that. Just kind of like, hey, when I see a problem, I can break it into chunks and think about how to solve it. You need to learn that. When I was a novice programmer, I didn't know that, nor did I know how to do any of that. So why would you want to use any of this? Well, let's look at how I used it in my last game, Corralling Cats. Yes, with 2 R's. We had a singleton game manager that didn't get destroyed, that had the do not destroy and load functionality. These things usually go hand in hand. When the game manager was switching to the match scene, it would look for the match manager and grab it, scoop it up under itself, as in grab a reference, and then tell it to execute certain commands that we wanted once we've properly switched scenes to make the game load up properly. So the game manager kind of switched us between scenes, stored some important data points, but the match manager started the game and would execute the game as we coded. It's good to silo different types of functions together in different scripts. So I could have 100% had the game manager just do everything. It would have been some gargantuan, bloated, difficult to work with script, but it could have done literally everything. But that's how you get spaghetti code and bloat and useless everything. You really do. It's good coding practice to keep the like things with each other. First things first, let's take a look at what we're actually making. Go ahead and hit the play button. So we have this change scene button, and we can see over here that we have our game manager in the do not destroy on load area, and we can see over here that there's nothing for the cont2. There's no game object there. So we clicked on change scenes, and it said hello, and now we caught the cont holder, which we can click on and see it's right there living in scene 2. Now that we know what we want to make, let's go ahead and set up the Unity scenes. So we're going to need 2 scenes. Right click in our area, create new scenes. Wherever they are, you can actually type an S and it'll jump to the S's. Am I blind? Yes. Scene 1. And then we're just going to click on it, Control D, and we're going to get scene 1 of 1. Let's rename that to scene 2. Then we're going to double click on scene run. We have an empty scene right now, so we're going to right click, and we want to add a UI element. So we're going to add a button. And I'm blind again. There we go. And this is your 10-minute warning that if you do not have Text Mesh Pro installed in this scene, go ahead and install Text Mesh Pro. You don't need its examples for this solution, but if you're intending on using this software or this program further, maybe the examples would help you. Alrighty, so make sure that you have a canvas, a button, and an event system. Alright, let's grab our button. Make it a little bigger so we can read it. Let's also drop it down over here and make the text a little bit. Let's try like 48 or something. There we go. It's a big old buttony. Let's call it next or something. I like that. All right. And then we're going to add another thing. So we're going to right click. We're going to create empty object. We're going to name it Game Manager. And I want to challenge those of you who are going to continue with this project past the completion of this tutorial that you should make the game manager a prefab. I'm not going to help you with that. Just know that making a scene is similar to making a prefab. So we called it game manager. And we're going to go ahead and let it sit there for now. Let's go over to scene 2. Save all that. We're going to right click over here, go down to UI, and we're going to make text this time. Make sure that there's a canvas, a text box, and an event system. An event system is really, if you don't have an event system, lots of UI stuff doesn't work, such as like buttons. Buttons don't work. Fill text, all of that good stuff. All right, let's call this one failed. And let's center it a little bit. There we go. And pop over here, cache it. Boom. All right, let's save all that and make another empty object called caught manager. Alrighty. Unity has kindly given us one of the 3 codes we're going to need. So I want you to open up your web browser of choice and type in Unity don't destroy onload. Then when you click this top thing, it should bring you to the unity.documents domain. Click on that. We don't need this upper one, but we do need this bottom one. So we're going to copy that. And before we leave this page, notice how the class is called don't destroy. So we're going to right click, create C# script, and call it don't destroy. Make sure you spell it and capitalize it exactly how you see it. So we can see here the don't and the D in don't and destroy is capitalized. So click on that. We're going to get, whoops, that was my practice thing. We're going to get rid of all of this and hit Control V. Boom. Save it. All right. So we're going to get rid of some extraneous things here. First of all, we're not finding something named with the tag music. We're going to be finding something with the tag GameManager. So let's go ahead and type that, GameManager. Boom. Then awake is good. Don't destroy is the name. Mono behavior is fine. We don't need this. And we also don't need system.collections generic or systems.collections. Save this. So what does this do? So we have a class named DontDestroy. It inherits from mono behavior. And then in the awake function, which is a specialty Unity function, it goes and gets all of the game objects with the tag GameManager. Now, you could instead, you see how this says find game objects with tag? There's actually a version with just object. And you probably, let me rephrase that. You definitely do not want 2 game managers. So you could probably just simplify this to game object with tag. We're not gonna, but you can. And then if it's greater than length 1, it destroys it. Because we don't want extra. And then don't destroy and load this .game object. So whatever this is attached to will get the do not destroy unload special properties, which will be important. So let's save that up. And we're going to make another script. So before we continue more coding, let's navigate back to scene 1, double click over there, and go to Game Manager, go to our coding, and we're going to drag over the don't destroy code on it. Boom. So now if we save it and we hit play, we're going to notice our Game Manager is going to get, it didn't work because I forgot to tag it. All right, we need to add a tag to it. So we're going to get tag. Oh, look, I've got a Game Manager tag already. I cheated. But if you need to add a tag, click Add Tag. In this upper tags area, type in Game Manager. I like to do no spaces for my tags and do some caps, kind of like my variables. But as long as it's identical to what it's looking for, you should be good. Anyway, so add that tag. Go back to Game Manager, flag it, save the scene, Control S, and then hit play. And we should see nothing. Why the fuck are we seeing nothing? All right, so let's do a little bit of live debugging. So right now we got an Unity exception. It says assets don't destroy.cs number 9 game manager is not defined. So let's go over to, let's open up don't destroy. Oh, okay. So find objects with tag game manager. Did I spell it wrong? M-A-N-A-G-E-R? Yeah, I fucking spelled it wrong. So we're going to hit the A there and we're going to save and then we're going to go back. So basically, what did I do here? So it said game manager's not defined, which is weird. So that means it's not there. It looked in the box and the box was empty. You got nothing for Christmas. So we clicked on game manager, but we see that the tag says game manager, but so it should be there. So something is wrong with line 9. We go back to line 9 and before I fixed the spelling was wrong. So it was looking for GameManager without an extra A, or its required amount of A's. But now, when we hit play, we're gonna get it. So you see this do not destroy and load section? This is a specialty thing. So if we were able to change scenes, which we aren't, this would not get destroyed. So let's set up some scene changing functionality. Right click, create, C# script. Oh my god, C# script, GameManager. Can't believe I spelled it wrong. Well, not this time, but same thing. Let's open up the script we just made and get rid of all this. First things first, we are not going to be using system.collections or generic, but we are going to be using a different one. Unity switches scenes using the Unity scene management system. So Unity game engine dot scene management include, or using that. All right, so as a reminder, the goal for this is we want to change scenes and we want to catch another manager when we change scenes. So we could do like level related stuff with it or whatever you want to do. So first of all, let's make a manager. So public, let's call this a caught manager. And let's name it _ caught manager. It's going to be mad at us because caught manager doesn't exist, so let's go ahead and do that until we fix that. Space down. And we do need to do one last thing with the singleton stuff. We need to create an instance of the game manager. We're going to go public, static, game manager. We are making instance. Did I spell instance wrong? Maybe. No, there's just nothing in here. It's mad. Get m.shutdown. You know, it's feeling old, a little bit old recently. I'm sorry, I booted up Clash of Clans. I've been playing that a bunch recently. It's crazy how much the game is similar, but also it's like nothing like it was. All right, so we're just letting a warning. So if it's shutting down, we want it to send something to the good old what the heck is that called again? The console. Wow, it's been a long day. Singleton instance plus type of game manager. Alrighty. Then we're going to return null. Then we make another if statement. If m instance all right, and then return m instance. All right, we need to add two variables. Let's do that up here. We need one of them is going to be m shutting down. The other is going to be m instance. M shutting down equals false, and it is a private static bool. Don't forget that. Private static game manager. So what am I doing with this? Basically, on startup, when Game Manager wakes up, it creates an instance of itself that we can query. And it's very nice. So let's say it's like, oh, okay, let's say you're in a manager that's way down the chain. You can query the game manager, query like, let's say the match manager, and then you can ask the match manager to like give player one a point or something. You can do a lot of stuff. All right, let's do the actual king caboodle. We can go ahead and shrink that down. And we got a public void change scenes. Ooh, what's happening? I hate when this happens. All right, that's going to take the input of a string and a level name. Basically, you wanted to input whatever way you want to determine how to get to levels. We're just going to kind of hard code this, but maybe a more proper term. Like if we always go to the match level because all the matches happen on the match level because the match manager generates the match in the match level, then this is super convenient. But if you're doing like, oh, you have level 1 through level 5, a little bit less convenient. All right, so we're going to start coroutine, and we're going to call start match, which doesn't exist right now, but it will. And then we're going to take the level data in. Boom. Don't forget that. And right under this, we're going to go public enumerator, if I can spell. Why doesn't it like that? And then that's also going to take in the string level data. Oh, I'm an idiot. You know how I said delete using systems.collections? Yeah, that's how enumerators work. Don't do that. Whoops. Alrighty. You guys want to see a neat trick? So you can actually go, you can type 3 slashes, and you got this set up. So it's like, oh, it catches your parameter, level name, and then it's like, oh, what does this do? Takes in name of level and calls the coroutine start match. And then there are tons of programs that will actually take this and dump it into a database, so it's really easy to query. That's how the big companies do it. Well, some of them, I imagine. All right, so now our start match, well, we want it to move scenes. So scene manager, boom, dot load scene, boom, and we want it to intake the level name. So we got that going. And then we want to do an enumerator thing. Yield, return, new, wait for end of frame. So this just lets everything cycle once and allows you to actually like get to, oops, don't forget these, get to further along so you don't like call things too early. Because let's just say we tried to grab the caught holder, or I mean our caught manager. So let's just say we tried to like do, you know, game object, just like script, let's call this is terrible. Oop. Script equals game object dot find, and then we're looking for like caught manager. How did I spell that? Boom. So if we did this right after we loaded the scene, there's a time in between where like none of this will quite exist yet, and this will probably error out. So we want to copy that and let's scoot it down a little bit. Let's do that twice. My current game needs to do it twice. Let's just do it twice for this one. So we're catching the caught manager, and then we're gonna print out if we caught it. Well, we're gonna print out a reference to it, but it'll print out null if we don't have it. Then if script does not equal null, then this thing equals script dot get component caught manager. So if it's not null, it'll make caught manager, which is the thing we have up here. It will make that equal to this. So we'll get a reference. And then we're going to toss it with a yield return end of frames after this. And then we are going to call, so we're going to do instance dot caught manager dot I've been called, which doesn't exist yet, but it will in a moment. So let's undo this before we forget. Now we're all done. So when we call start match, it switches the scenes, it waits a little bit, it gets a reference to the game object, it prints that reference. If it's not null, it'll save the reference, we'll wait another frame, and then it's going to call this function. Let's go ahead and make that function. We named it caught manager, so let's create new. Caught manager. All right, boom. Let's boot that up. No, where did it go? It's here somewhere. There we go. Get rid of all that. We also going to need these, but we are going to need TPM Pro. So we're going to using TPM Pro, which is Text Mesh Pro, if you're wondering. We've got a public game object text, and then we got a public, let's make our function void, we don't need anything, and then call it I've been called. Exactly how we wrote it in the other screen, although it will yell at you if it's not right. And then we want to take our text object, dot get component, and then we're actually looking for the, it takes a while, I always have to look this up, it's the text mesh pro GUI brackets, and then dot text equals, let's do hello. Let's do this the right way. So let's just make a public string, and then call it, oh, I've been caught, or caught, and then make it equal to, boom. Don't forget that, slip that here, and don't forget that, boom. So this has a text object that we are going to store a reference to when the game is not running. It has a string, I've been caught, and it has a function, I've been called. So we're going to call this from the game manager, and it's going to execute this code. Let's go set everything up so it works. Let's pop over to the game manager, make sure everything's saved. Caught manager did not get saved. What, did I spell something wrong? Probably. We can't name something caught manager because it's a script's name. So let's call it caught manager obj object. I'm dumb. This is supposed to be a string. There we go. So it can actually just be called caught manager because it doesn't need that. All right, let's go back out to Unity. As soon as it reloads, game manager, we're going to go ahead and add the game manager to it. Boom. Then we are going to, that's like correctly, and then in the button, we're going to navigate to the button, so canvas, button, and then we're going to click this plus button on the on-click area, and then we're going to grab a reference to the game manager by clicking and dragging it over to this object area. You can also probably find it, but it's just more annoying. And then drop down function tab, and you should see the game manager appear. And then scroll over here, and we're looking for change scene that I spelled wrong. Don't worry about that. And then we need to put in the name of the scene, which, if memory recalls, it is scene 2. Also, neat trick, rename, Control C, button, Control V, no mistakes possible. All right, scene 1 is set up. Let's navigate to scene 2. We need the caught manager. We need to give it the caught manager, and we also need to make sure the caught manager, like the name of the object, is the same as we called it in the game manager. Also, fun fact, this whole find thing, that's a very expensive function, but we are only running it once. You should be looking for like top level things. It would be better to do like what we did up here in instance, where we like get a, oh, that's also very expensive. Don't mind that. We could use it. It would be better if we got it like the don't destroy area where we find it with a tag. We're not going to do that, but I would challenge you to do that if you want to do it correctly, unlike me. All right. So we're going to go caught manager, which we need to rename that. You know what? We can do another cheap trick here. Copy back to Unity, up here, paste. Boom. Save that shit. And then we need a copy to the text. So at caught manager should be selected, and you see the text over here. We can even see that I've been caught, so we could edit that outside of script, which is super nice. Grab a reference, click, drag, and pop it in there. Now it should be good to go. So let's save that up. Head back over to scene 1. In scene 1, there's one more thing we need to do. File, build settings. You can see I only have scene 3 and scene 4 in here, which is some of my test scenes. We do not have our scenes in here, so it actually won't work. When it tries to look for that scene, the scene manager will look in the scene area and be like, I don't see it. So we're going to click this button, add open scenes. So we added scene 1. Let's navigate to scene 2. Added scene 2. Boom. Let's decheck those. And we should be good to go. Let's hit the play button. Good. We can see the game manager's over here. There's no caught manager. Let's hit the next button. I've been caught. And it's got a reference to the caught manager. Boom. And that's that, folks. Hopefully you found this useful. As always, a subscription would be excellent. A like, angry comments in the chat. You know, that always helps. You have a nice day.